You're listening to Autumn on the Air, the weekly podcast that brings you conversations about the impact of research commercialization and the people who make it happen. Join us for interviews with patent and licensing professionals, innovators, entrepreneurs, and tech transfer leaders on the issues and trends that matter most. Keep listening for an inside track on the people, IP policies, and politics changing our world.
Welcome to another episode of Autumn on the Air. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing industries across the board, from healthcare to finance. And with it comes new challenges for inventors, universities, and the IP community. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office recently issued new guidance on subject matter eligibility for AI inventions, which provides much-needed clarity on how AI-related innovations can be patented. This update is vital for those working at the intersection of technology and intellectual property, especially in tech transfer offices and research institutions. Our guest today is someone deeply involved in shaping these policies, Derrick Brent, the Deputy Undersecretary of Commerce for Intellectual Property and Deputy Director of the USPTO. As Deputy Director of the USPTO, Derick serves as the Principal Advisor to the Undersecretary of Commerce for Intellectual Property and Director of the USPTO, Kathi Vidal. In his role, Derick works to advance intellectual property policies that foster innovation, support startups, and enhance entrepreneurship nationwide. Welcome back to the podcast, Derick.
Thank you very much, Lisa. It's very good to see you, and hello to all my friends out there at Autumn. Always good to spend some time with them and you.
Well, it's always great to spend time with you. And thank you so much again for being on the podcast today and to talk about such an important topic, which is AI. And in particular, we're going to talk today about the new AI subject matter eligibility guidance, the impact that it's going to have on the future of AI patenting and how it affects innovators across different sectors. And I thought, Derick, maybe the best place to get this conversation started, because there's so much here to talk about, is maybe to have you give us a brief overview of the key updates in the USPTO's AI subject matter eligibility guidance.
Well, thanks, Lisa. And again, thank you very much. It really is a privilege, and I don't say that lightly, to be here with you again. Look, I'll start off by saying, AI presents one of the greatest technological innovation opportunities in a generation or even in our lifetimes. It's transformative. It's an amazing innovation opportunity. But with that great opportunity, I think, comes a great responsibility to provide safe use and mitigate the risks. So our guidance is one of our deliverables under the White House Executive Order 14110, which was called the Safe, Secure, and Trustworthy Development and Use of AI. So that was sort of a guiding principle, although we have been involved in the AI game for quite a while. The executive order required the USPTO to issue guidance to examiners and stakeholders on the intersection of AI and IP, which could include patent eligibility issues related to innovation in AI and critical emerging technologies, or CET. So we issued this guidance July 17th of 2024, and we're in the middle of a comment period following our issuance of that guidance. And there are three main parts to the guidance. And the first part is to assist USPTO personnel and stakeholders in evaluating subject matter eligibility for AI inventions. And AI inventions it's not a term of art, really. It's just a simpler way of saying, patent applications or patent claims or inventions that involve artificial intelligence somewhere along the line. The second part of it is to provide a new set of examples to assist in applying guidance. And then the third part that we tried to accomplish in this, and I think we did accomplish in this guidance, is to address feedback from stakeholders and also to discuss the law and policy landscape. But the overarching goal, and I think it's one that is it's simply put, but I also believe that it just drives the entire guidance. And that is the goal was to promote clarity and consistency for both the USPTO staff and our work, as well as stakeholders externally in analyzing artificial intelligence, AI, and critical emerging technology. So, and also I would just note, Lisa, one last point, and I promise I'll betray my legal training and try to wrap up and be succinct as much as I can. But one other note is that while this guidance focuses on AI inventions, the principles and the analyses involved can actually apply to other types of inventions. So we're trying to provide more clarity generally, but we're using some examples, I think, that provide clarity here within the realm of AI.
No, that was really great. Thank you, Derek. And I just wanted to ask before we move on, I know this, there was a previous guidance, and I'm curious how this newest guidance kind of builds upon that previous guidance that the USPTO put out.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things, at least when you know how you do work along the way, you don't realize it, and you look back and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I've been doing this work for, it always reminds me of a friend of mine who said he left his job at a firm one time, went to government for 7 years, he came back, and the same case was still going on.
Oh, wow.
And by the way, he was reassigned to it. The short answer is, Lisa, that the new guidance puts us and stakeholders in alignment with the goals of the executive order, but it also implements current information and feedback from stakeholders through comments and public engagement, such as listening sessions. But you're right in the premise of your question. This does build upon previous efforts by the agency. So I'm going to rattle off a few here just because I think it's important to lay the groundwork of sort of what led up to the guidance that we've issued. And so August of 29, the office issued a RFC on patenting AI inventions. In October 2020, we had a report that gave public views on AI and IP policy. And then we also have the work over the last couple of years that has been with the AI ET partnership, and that is the Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies Partnership. And this is a group in the office who are tasked with creating engagements and external engagements with stakeholders and others, the public community, in terms of seeking feedback about AI, how their uses. Also, the research community, how they're going to use it. And so the AI ET partnership had their first meeting June of 2022, and they've had a number of events since then. Trying to remember, they had AI and biotech. They had one on AI tools and data. They've had other events even outside of just the patent space with AI and copyright. So the AI ET partnership is really broad ranging, and they're doing that type of stakeholder engagement, getting the feedback so that we're on the ground and we're being informed along the way. Also in 2023, we issued an RFC on AI and inventorship. And then we've also had several FR notices along the way. It's February of 2024, inventorship guidance for AI-assisted inventions, looking at human contribution. April 2024, guidance on use of AI in practice before the USPTO. That was very important. That's just this year. In April 2024, the RFC on impact of AI on proliferation of prior art. And that is a really interesting subject. So this work, the guidance really builds on our work, bringing clarity and consistency to patent subject matter eligibility. And as you know, 2019, we issued eligibility guidance and a report on adjusting to the AI, to the Alice decision. In June of 2022, we had a report on the public views on patent eligible subject matter and cases, and that was per a Senate request. And then also, finally, I would just like to say that, we also engage with all of the branches, Lisa, and that's an important factor for us. And so we do things ranging from, it can be training sessions with judges, district court judges, just so that we can interact and they can understand what our processes are, and we can understand what they're seeing in court. But we also engage with them through the formal process, of course, of brief writing in litigations we're involved in, or where we're asked to weigh in for Supreme Court views also with the solicitor's office. And then the legislative branch, obviously, we don't do any lobbying, but Congress does seek our technical assistance on legislative proposals, both those that are introduced and also ones that are in the drafting process. So I know that's a mouthful, but that's a number of the ways that we have sort of built up to this point where where we've issued this guidance, and it builds on that. And we have more to do, honestly, and better that we will do.
And it seems to me, Derrick, the USPTO is dedicating a tremendous amount of time and resources to this particular topic and dealing with it in a very iterative kind of process.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot, and I'm sure we're going to discuss it today. It's a wide-ranging area. As I say, you can't swing a 1-foot rope around yourself without hitting somebody and talking about AI.
So if we take a step back and dig into the guidance a little bit more, I know it introduced 3 new examples to help clarify AI subject matter eligibility. Can you walk us through just one of those examples and its relevance to patent applications in emerging technologies?
Sure. But let me caveat, this is one of those ones where I'll pivot. I feel like I'm like on one of the Sunday shows where I have to pivot a little bit, but I'm going to explain why I have to pivot. But I think I can give at least one piece of useful information, both for us and for the listeners. And that is, I can't really walk through the example and give a voice to it because we're in the middle of a comment period. So there are people who have already submitted comments. And so other people will be able to submit comments based off of adding in my information. And so I wouldn't want to prejudice anyone who's already submitted comments. So I'll refrain from that. But I will say this, and I do think that this is it's important point for your listeners. Know that we do have a comment period going on. And so please, by all means, go to the federal rulemaking portal, regulations.gov, and please submit feedback and comments to us on AI on the guidance that we've issued. If you think there are things that we've missed, if there are items where you think there's technology that we need to take under consideration, any type of information that's going to help us, because as we go along, this is going to be an iterative process of keeping ourselves as informed as possible. So I know that wasn't directly the question, but there was some useful information there, I think, for the listeners, and that you have a chance to really engage with us. So please avail yourself of that.
Yeah, it's really important that the PTO get those comments from stakeholders. So thank you for reminding us of that. So, Derick, we've talked about how rapidly evolving the field of AI is. How does the USPTO plan to stay ahead in assessing the patentability of AI-related inventions?
I'll start off with a joke/comment that one of my old football coaches used to make when we would line up on the line to run 40-yard sprints. He would say, "On your mark, get set, you're already behind." And that was
That's awesome.
To start running. So, so I will say that the short answer on this, Lisa, is that, the way that we're going to stay, not ahead or current with the developments is through engagement with stakeholders, through our interagency conversations and collaborations. And by interagency, that's not just within the Department of Commerce, and certainly we have a number of sister agencies here that we collaborate with, that it will be important for AI purposes to engage with. But that will also be with other agencies. What's the Department of Energy doing in terms of AI deployment through all of their labs? They have a whole bunch of labs. And so that's going to be important to have interagency throughout the executive branch, and also engagement with the other branches, as I touched on previously, both the judicial and the legislative branch. So those types of collaborations are going to keep us ahead of the game in terms of policy, seeing policy development. Also, we will have, internal information and data and feedback from our own examination and other processes, such as PETTP. So we're going to have, if we do this right, we will have a rich basket of information and data through which we can help to develop policy that that is either current or ahead of the curve in working with AI. So, and then the quick note is AI is rapidly developing, as you said. As I mentioned, I talked a little bit about the AI ET partnership. That engagement is going to be a critical tool for staying ahead. And then we also have tools like, the RFCs and additional guidance and comments that we get. But I want to mention two other tools that some folks may know, but I think they're important tools internally. And we have two different programs here for our examiners. One is called C, and it's Site Experience Education. And the other one is PETTP. Try to say that fast. And that's Patent Examiner Technology Training Program. And both of those programs allow examiners to interface with practitioners, technologists, and others from industry so that they can dialogue and exchange information about and help them to learn more about our examination process. But it also helps us to learn about the technologies, get a sense of what's coming up, what's coming around the corner. And our examiners get that firsthand look so that the work that they see on the paper, the inventions that they see in claims and disclosures and different things and specifications, all of that comes to life when you can have that robust exchange with practitioners and technologists from industry. And then there's one other thing we have here at the agency. We actually have a portal, the AI resource portal. And Lisa, believe it or not, our internal resource portal is for all agency staff. So whether you're a novice or you're an expert, we have provided a set of trainings so that if you're an expert, you can dig down into something very detailed, or if you're a novice, you can just get an overview. But our goal is that we become an AI fluent agency. So we're providing it not just for our examiners in terms of the use and also examining attorneys over on the trademark side. We are also providing it for all of our staff so that with the goal that many in our staff become AI fluent.
Wow, that's really impressive. And like I said before, it sounds like the PTO is spending a lot of time and resources, not only with new guidances, but also trying to get all staff educated on AI and its capabilities. So I want to go back, though, Derrick, to the guidance for a second, because one of the biggest challenges in AI patenting is distinguishing between abstract ideas and practical applications. So I'm curious, can you talk to us a little bit about how the guidance addresses this issue?
Sure. Lisa, I think, folks like you, practitioners who deal with it day to day, and I don't think I'm saying anything out of school, but I think we all recognize that there are parts of the Alice Mayo framework that could be very difficult, and especially now with the application to AI inventions. So our goal for the guidance was to provide some clarity for examiners and also to stakeholders in their evaluations. And what we wanted to do was try to clarify one of the critical parts of the framework and break it into a two-prong analysis, and then use the examples to sort of be able to walk people through hypotheticals. And so the two-prong analysis, which internally we call Step 2A, deals with whether the claim was directed to a judicial exception. And so it deals with whether the claim recites an abstract idea or some other judicial exception to eligibility. And then if so, then you move to the next part. And boy, this is straight engineering flow chart, right? It truly does show our side. But if you meet that first part of prong, then you go to a second analysis, which looks at the claim as a whole and whether it integrates the exception into a practical application. So then, that we think that's a nice analysis, but adding 3 more examples to the number of examples that we have, where the examples are AI based, we thought that would be a chance to provide some additional clarity around this. So, for example, I think it's example 47 is a hypothetical or example where the claims recite limitations specific to AI, and I think it deals with the artificial neural network. Example 48 is maybe AI-based methods for analyzing speech, if I remember right. And then example 49 was method claims reciting an AI model designed to assist in medical treatment. So those are real world applications, things that are, that we could see coming through, but also three different applications of AI, so that you could get a feel for walking through that analysis. So these are, all together what I just talked about, from the training and different things. These are all tools that we're hopefully providing to help folks as they have to go through in this new world of AI and deal with subject matter eligibility.
I'm also curious how the Federal Circuit has influenced some of the updates to the AI subject matter eligibility guidances.
So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to my answer. So I'm limited because of the comment period, and I don't want my words in how I describe the cases, even if I could be tight to the language, as tight as I could be to the language. I don't want to prejudice the people who have already submitted. But I think maybe to tell the listeners, that it was the reason that we used the cases, and we discussed the landscape of the cases, because our goal was the goal was to use the cases in the guidance to illustrate the landscape of law that's out there, and to provide it for them. And by the way, as we get comments back, I expect people will have comments talking about how they expect this case law to be applied. And that's going to be helpful. Again, that's rich data for us in terms of policy making. So our goal was to describe the landscape, and then to also synthesize what we thought are some of the premier cases or some of the significant cases in this area, to provide clarity for our examiners internally, for clarity and consistent evaluation. So I think that was the goal in putting the case law out there.
Makes sense. And I want to switch gears now a little bit and talk about the practical side. And for our listeners and tech transfer offices, and as well as innovators, what do you think they should consider when preparing AI-related patent applications under these new guidelines?
Well, Lisa, this is one where we know each other, and that tech transfer holds a special place in my heart.
Yes,
and
I do know that.
I think that truthfully, listeners, Lisa can tell you, if you mention tech transfer, you can have as much of my time. And I think anyone here at the office will tell you that it's hard to pull me away from a conversation on tech transfer, because it's so fascinating. It holds a very special place, not just in my heart, but it also holds a special place in our innovation ecosystem. And I applaud all the folks who are in this area, because I think it's fascinating. I think it's exciting and one of the most fun areas to work in. All of that said, now I'm going to say something that goes a little bit against that, which is, for all of you, my friends in the tech transfer world, the advice is not that different than you would tell all other innovators. And so it really boils down to, with your AI-related patent applications under the guidelines, obviously, one, utilize our tools. We've given you some tools here, some ways to think through this issue, and giving you a view into how we're going to analyze what you're bringing forth. So after that, Lisa, the ball game is really just being diligent and describing the claims as clearly, describing your invention as clearly as possible. And that's like that that's that old school advice when the coach would just tell you, yeah, you just really got to buckle up the shoes. It really does come down to really those core concepts. But tech transfer offices are in a great spot. You're going to be on the cutting edge because you're doing cutting edge research. So you're going to be leading us in terms of bringing us innovation to look at. But know that we are staying trained and we're staying engaged, so that we're ready for all the new innovation that you're bringing us.
Yeah, and there are some really exciting things that are coming out of university tech transfer offices related to AI. And I'm curious, Derrick, do you think there will be any impact, or what impact do you think this guidance will have when it comes to some of the commercialization efforts of tech transfer offices?
Lisa, I think the guidance will be a help. And I'll start back from the principle that I mentioned, which is the goal of the guidance is to, just like the executive order, the goal of the guidance consistent with that is to unleash more AI development, more deployment, more development, and adoption of AI, and bringing forth that innovation. But all of that said, we do have a responsibility to do it safely, and so these guidelines are meant to just primarily to provide a window into, hey, as you're bringing your invention to us, here's an area that we're going to be looking at. This is how we're analyzing it, and we have engaged with the public on this, and we will continue to engage to make sure that we're getting it right. So the impact that I think it's going to have on university driven is, I think it's going to clarify some things for them. And I think that it will help them on a practical level, with claim drafting, and also to give stronger, to give us stronger patents with clearer lines around subject matter.
So, Derick, you've mentioned the comment period a couple times here. Remind our audience again how long they can comment to, and what's the best way for them to submit their comments to the PTO.
Sure. As I mentioned previously, go to the federal rulemaking portal, regulations.gov, and you can find our FR notice, the issued guidance, and your ability to comment on it. And I would just, I don't quote me on the deadline on it right now. I always say that, Lisa, and yet, as I said, it's hard not to quote the deputy director, isn't it? But check the deadline, because the deadline will be posted in the portal, and just in the event that the deadline changes, you want to make sure you check back frequently.
So, Derick, I wanted to ask you, with AI being so interdisciplinary, how does the USPTO ensure that the eligibility guidance applies across different sectors, whether it's from healthcare to finance to engineering?
I think here is where, because of the interdisciplinary nature, and again, as you and I have talked about, IP can range from a cat toy all the way up to a multi-level environmental machine, and everything in between, a car even. But there's a consistency in terms of our analysis. There's a consistency factor, the consistency of our application, and that there's a consistency externally for stakeholders in how they are able to evaluate. And that those two try to remain in sync so that folks on the outside can feel like they're able to evaluate situations competently about how they will be handled by the office. So internally, we do rigorous training. And there's two phases of training. One is still upcoming, and we're still planning it. But we've previously done a level of training, and we're talking about interdisciplinary training here, where we have the Patent Technology Center points of contacts, and the PTAB judges and staff attorneys are learning about various AI law and policy issues. So that has been great. They're also being trained up on the guidance. So, and again, look at the fact that we are, as an agency, we're coming together and we're putting together both ends, both the examination end and the litigation or challenge end, and we bring them together so that they know what each other are doing, and they're singing out of the same hymn book. So that's one of the ways that we have done that. And we'll also continue to revise the guidance as nuances are brought up and brought to our attention.
So, Derick, we've been talking about how AI's impacted the overall IP landscape, and I'm curious to know, are there any specific challenges that you think still need to be addressed in the patenting process for AI inventions?
That's a good question. I think in terms of specific challenges, here's the funny thing. Whatever challenges I could tell you today probably will have changed by tomorrow, right?
Exactly.
That's the nature of AI. So I would say, it's bringing us new innovations rapidly, and it's having a great impact on IP as well as the innovation ecosystem and the world at large. And practitioners are being asked to do things to describe things that they've never seen before, and examiners are being asked to examine inventions that they've never seen before. And while the office, I think this is the challenge with the specific challenge that I'm getting to, is that everything as we go along, there are a lot of unprecedented or new things. And so while the office will see higher application volume, I suspect, and it's going to see more issues of first impression, we have to be prepared to grapple with those issues. And I think we've done that well by starting at the core of the question, which is inventorship and subject matter eligibility, the two bedrock principles of intellectual property. Now, more wrinkles are going to come to us from the courts. They're going to come to us from stakeholders, and certainly Congress as they get in. Our feedback loops that we've built in, I think the agency is well prepared to always be in a position that it is at least current, if not ahead of the curve, in terms of being able to handle these challenges.
So, Derick, you've alluded to this a little bit before. What role does collaboration between the USPTO and other government bodies play in shaping policy for emerging technologies like AI?
Sure. I've discussed a little bit of this. That collaboration happens on different levels. And so you have one, like I mentioned, the courts. We engage with the courts through brief writing and litigation that we're involved in, or at the Supreme Court level, sometimes when the solicitor's views are asked, we engage with the Solicitor General's office to provide views. And that's one way that we engage with the courts. We also have the training that I talked about, where we will train them so they understand the examination process, and we can understand a little bit more about the courts. We also engage with our sister agencies, as well as our sister bureaus within the Department of Commerce. And that's important because people are using AI in different ways. And so there's a use case where we're all trying to get on the same page. But when it comes to analyzing the inventions and so forth, as we learn about how other agencies are using, policies that they're developing, policies for use that they're developing, all of these things inform us. And believe it or not, even policies on use can come back and inform us as to how AI is used. And that goes into our knowledge of, okay, when this technology comes in, this is how it's used. Again, it becomes the practical use case. So I think those are the ways that we engage with, collaborate. And obviously, as I've mentioned, the public engagement is absolutely vital and crucial.
Absolutely. And, before I let you go, Derick, I wanted to ask you if you could pull out your crystal ball and, as best you can, tell us where you think the future of AI innovation is heading, and how do you think the USPTO will continue to support and protect these advancements?
Well, thank you very much. I think that's a fitting closing question. Lisa, where it goes, I'll be wrong in 30 seconds, as I just said. But I think, AI really is transformative. I really do think that we are going to see the ability of AI to as a tool to be able to be brought to bear on many problems and help solve problems more quickly, help us make more rapid advancements in technology and science and health. The world of opportunity is ahead of us. But how exciting is it as for all of us that are involved in intellectual property, and especially those of us with a passion for tech transfer, to be on the front lines of it and to be seeing the sun come up over the ridge. It's always dawn when you're out in front. And I love where this is going. I love that we as an agency get to play a role with this and get to help. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to help unleash innovation, this new transformative technology and innovation, but we're trying to do it in a safe way. And that's our charge as a government. So we will do so, but we look forward to all of the innovation that's to come, and it's exciting.
Couldn't agree more. It's very, very exciting. And thank you, Derick, as always, for being so gracious with your time and for your passion for tech transfer. It's always a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Lisa, the pleasure is all mine. Anytime I'm available. Thank you very much for having me back.
Thank you, Derick, for walking us through the new AI subject matter eligibility guidance.
This is a crucial step for innovators, tech transfer offices, and IP professionals working with AI technologies. As Derick mentioned, please check the USPTO website for updates on the comment period. In fact, as of September 17th, the comment period for this guidance has now been extended to October 16th, 2024. As always, stay tuned to Autumn on the Air for more insights on innovation, IP, and tech transfer.
Thanks for listening to Autumn on the Air with Lisa Mueller. Get social with us and share your thoughts. You can tweet us at AUTM or visit us online at autm.net. We'll be back next week on the air. Be sure to join us.